August 16, 2006, System of a Down walks off stage at the Coral Sky Amphitheater in West Palm Beach, Florida. The crowd is screaming, the band is exhausted, and nobody in that arena knows this is the last time System of a Down will perform together for years. Because backstage, the tension between two childhood friends has reached a breaking point. Daron Malakian and Serj Tankian have been building toward this moment for years. The creative partnership that made System of a Down unstoppable is crumbling, and the hiatus they're about to announce will turn into one of the longest and most painful waits in rock history. If you want to hear how a friendship and a legendary band fell apart over creative control and competing visions, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because this story goes deeper than anyone realized. System of a Down wasn't just another rock band, they were something completely different. Four Armenian-American musicians from Los Angeles who mixed heavy metal with Middle Eastern melodies, political fury with dark humor, crushing riffs with haunting beauty. When Toxicity came out in 2001, it changed everything. The album went 6 times platinum. Songs like Chop Suey and Aerials became anthems. System of a Down was suddenly one of the most important bands in the world. And at the center of it all were two creative forces who had known each other since childhood. Serj Tankian, the frontman with the operatic voice and the political fire, and Daron Malakian, the guitarist and primary songwriter who built the musical foundation. They grew up together, they created something nobody else could replicate, but they were also two strong personalities heading for a collision. In the beginning, the chemistry was perfect. Daron wrote most of the music, the riffs, the structures, the melodies. Serj brought the lyrics, the vocals, the philosophical depth, the artistic vision. Shavo Odagian and John Dolmayan completed the sound. It was collaborative, but Daron was clearly leading the musical direction. After Toxicity, everyone knew who System of a Down was, but most people didn't know who was writing the songs. And that started to bother Daron. He wasn't just a guitarist playing someone else's music, he was the architect, and he wanted recognition for that. In 2002, System of a Down released Steal This album, a response to their demos leaking online. Another success, another sold-out tour, but the dynamic was shifting. Daron was becoming more vocal about his role. In interviews, he started making it clear that he wrote most of the music, that the songs came from his head. And while it was true, the way he said it created friction, because Serj wasn't just a singer, he was a creator too. He wrote lyrics, co-wrote music on tracks like Aerials and Chop Suey, arranged vocal parts, added keyboards and textures. System of a Down wasn't just Daron's vision, it was a collaboration, but Daron was starting to see it differently. Then came 2005. System of a Down released 2 albums in the same year, Mesmerize in May, Hypnotize in November. Both albums debuted at #1. The band was at their absolute peak, arenas packed, millions of albums sold, critical acclaim, MTV, radio, everything. But behind the success, the creative partnership was breaking down, because Daron had a clear vision for where System of a Down should go, and Serj had a different one. Daron wanted to keep writing the way they always had, him bringing completed songs to the band. Serj wanted more collaboration, more input, more creative equality, and neither one was willing to compromise. By early 2006, the tension was impossible to ignore. They announced a hiatus in May, before the final leg of their tour even ended. The official statement was vague: time to focus on solo projects, time to pursue other interests. But everyone close to the band knew the real reason. Daron and Serj couldn't agree on how to move forward. They couldn't even agree on how to work together anymore. So when that tour finally ended in August, it felt like the end of something much bigger than a hiatus. Daron went off and formed Scars on Broadway, his own band where he could sing his own songs and have complete creative control. He had been writing material for years, and now he finally had an outlet for it. The first Scars on Broadway album came out in July 2008, and it was clear this wasn't just a side project. This was Daron proving he could lead a band, that he could be the front man. That System of a Down wasn't bigger than him, and whether he meant it that way or not, Serj felt it. Everyone felt it. Serj released his own solo album, Elect the Dead, in October 2007. It was completely different from System of a Down. More orchestral, more experimental, more political. It was beautiful and ambitious and successful. Serj proved he didn't need System of a Down to create meaningful music. He could build his own artistic legacy, tour the world, connect with fans on his own terms. But here's the thing, both solo careers were successful. Both guys proved they could make it without the band. But neither of them could recreate what System of a Down was, because System of a Down wasn't Daron or Serj. It was the combination, the tension, the balance. And now that balance was gone. Years went by. Fans kept asking when System of a Down would come back. The band kept giving vague answers. Maybe someday, we'll see. We're working on other things. But behind the scenes, the real issue was clear. Daron and Serj had fundamentally different visions for how the band should work. In November 2009, the band announced reunion tour dates for 2011. Fans went insane. System of a Down was back. But it wasn't really back. They were just playing old songs. No new album, no new music, just a greatest hits tour, because they still couldn't agree on how to create together. The tours continued sporadically, 2011, 2012, 2013, but every time fans asked about new music, the answer was the same. We're working on it, we'll see. Maybe. The frustration was building, not just for fans, but for the band members themselves. And in 2018, Serj finally said it publicly. He did an interview with Loudwire where he explained why there was no new System of a Down music. He said Daron had many songs ready to go, but Serj didn't want to just record Daron's songs anymore. He wanted fresh collaboration. He wanted the band to write together from scratch. He said the creative process had become unhealthy, that it wasn't a democracy anymore. When Serj said that publicly, it changed everything. Daron responded a year later in an interview with Revolver. He said Serj was too busy with activism and solo projects to commit to System of a Down, that Serj rejected every idea Daron brought to the table, that it wasn't about control, it was about Serj not wanting to do the work, two childhood friends, two versions of the same story, and neither one willing to admit they were both right and both wrong. Then in November 2020, something unexpected happened. System of a Down released two new songs, Protect the Land and Genocidal Humanoids. Both songs were about the war in Artsakh and the Armenian struggle. It was the first new music in 15 years. Fans thought it was the beginning of a comeback. But it wasn't. It was a one-time thing, a specific response to a specific crisis. Because Daron and Serj still couldn't agree on an album. The fundamental issue was still there. Who gets to lead the creative direction? And neither one was willing to back down. Here's the truth. Daron was right that he wrote most of the music. He built the sound of System of a Down. But Serj was right that his voice and vision made the band iconic. They both created something incredible together. But their egos and their competing visions wouldn't let them see that anymore. They were so focused on who deserved more credit and who should lead that they couldn't collaborate the way they used to. And System of a Down paid the price. Today, System of a Down still exists. They play occasional shows, they tour when they can agree on it, but there's no new album, no new era. Just a legendary band frozen in time, playing songs from 20 years ago while two childhood friends can't figure out how to create together anymore. It's one of the biggest what-ifs in rock history. A band that could have dominated for decades. A band that had everything, the talent, the chemistry, the fan base. But they couldn't survive the one thing that destroys so many great bands. Creative control, two friends who built something incredible together but couldn't get out of their own way long enough to keep it alive. Make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story, and check out the video I just made about Guns N' Roses and how ego destroyed another legendary band. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.